In February 2018, the Government of Ireland and Trust Fund for Victims at the ICC led a joint monitoring visit to northern Uganda. The monitoring visit, initiated by the Government of Ireland, was aimed at reviewing the impacts of Trust Fund's programme in providing assistance to survivors of the LRA war.
Our ambition for the visit, of course, is that we will not only increase support for the Trust Fund for Victims, and there's a number of members of the ICC who are here and already providing financial support, and we hope that they'll increase it, but also some other member states who are not yet providing assistance, but that hopefully they'll be motivated to do so when they have had this opportunity to see the real impact that it has on people's lives on the ground.
In Uganda, Trust Fund for Victims has been implementing an assistance program since 2008, providing medical and psychological rehabilitations and livelihood support across 18 districts, impacting lives of over 245,000 people.
I lost my leg when I was with my friends when we went to the bush hunting for birds. 3
of Simon's friends died that day in 2003. Simon survived and received assistance from Gulu Hospital. In Uganda, Trust Fund for Victims is providing medical referral, bullet fragment removal and prosthetic devices. One of the Trust Fund's partners is AVSI, which is providing artificial limbs in partnership with Gulu Hospital. With the artificial limb, Simon can walk again. He regained his self-esteem and became independent.
I am now able to dig. I am now able to ride my motorbike. I learned how to ride motorbike when I'm already using this artificial limb.
But Simon is not alone. There are many more people who are still suffering from physical injuries and in need of assistance. Members of the monitoring mission were warmly welcomed at each of the locations visited and received the insight of how important the program is to the local communities, especially the ones focusing on trauma counseling and mental health support, considering that these services are almost non-existent in Uganda. They do save lives.
Trauma needs consistent service. Means that the client needs to see the therapist, the counselor, at least 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 sessions. No organizations before Trust Fund for Victims could support our work ever had these opportunities here.
Some of the beneficiaries of the program that the Trust Fund supports were very eager to share their stories of healing and recovery with the visitors despite their ordeals during the conflict.
PTO koñ magumena pe an no don wia ubaleo penano gen maraj muteme ikomwa chi no da lonyo ba warlu dok chambe pa chamu chi karma ki chwala cha no ya boti o bot PTO ko betati mabe ko mati mayore wo da ro wa bai koma.
The lack of awareness in Uganda around mental health issues and stigma related to them means that most people do not recognize the symptoms and seek treatment. If left unattended, depression in survivors of war and victims of violence can bring thoughts of suicide.
Those thoughts that I had, I have no option to live because I have no reason to live. I have to take away my life. But when I came to the counselors, I knew that it's not about my disability. I still have ability to do other things apart from what I was doing.
In 2010, people found it quite difficult to talk about their problems and what they had experienced. They were quite closed about problems they had encountered, especially in psychological level. You can see now that they're quite open, even in front of their own communities, which I think is really due to the psychosomatic counseling they've had for themselves, but also for their families. I must admit that the impact of the Trust Fund for Victims compared to what we had then is enormous.
For many delegates, this monitoring mission was a rare opportunity to talk with and listen to victims of war and survivors of atrocities for the first time.
While I served as a judge for almost 40 years, this was the first time ever in my life to meet with the victims and communicate with them. It was very touching and moving, and they have a place in my heart. I have been arguing that the sustainable peace is not possible without justice. But having participated in this program, I now have a firm belief that such a sustainable and long-lasting peace is only possible through this kind of a restorative, reparative justice like what the Trust Fund for Victims is now implementing.
I'm very grateful to the initiative of the Government of Ireland to expand their monitoring mission to include 9 other states parties, as well as the President of the Assembly of States Parties and the Ugandan ambassador to the Netherlands to be part of this mission, because they were able to see and hear with their own eyes and with their own ears how the programs are impacting on the lives of victim beneficiaries, their families and their communities.
Recovery stories like Simon, Esther and Stevens are many. Some of the people have not yet gotten the rehabilitation assistance they need. For some, there might still be time. This is why the implementing partners and victims of the conflict appeal for further help.
We used to provide 300 beneficiaries annually with the rehabilitation, but because of high demand, our intake has gone up to 400 beneficiaries. And all this calls for money and continuity of the support.
Nous voulons lancer un vibrant appel aux États parties, aux donateurs, aux partenaires techniques et financiers de tout continent et de tous ordres, vraiment pour apporter leur soutien à ce centre qui est en train de donner non seulement l'espoir de vivre à ses victimes, mais aussi la dignité.
Thank you so much.